what what do you know now that you want to share with people that you didn't know when you first started Harambe, or when you first started really delving into the area of domestic violence? How do you think this has evolved? Like, what do you know now that you didn't know then?
That is a big question because actually been I started doing domestic violence services as a volunteer back in the 80s. And I was a hotline uh, volunteer. So I would answer the calls and people would call, you had a shift, late shift, whatever you call and hear about what was going on with people. So what I know now that I didn't know then, I think just the whole, so much about the prevalence of and the disparities for different populations is really surprising to me to know that about 3.5 times more victims that are Black versus the white population. That really startled me. And then I wanted to know why. And the reason why is it then fits that because of disparities around how Black people are treated with law enforcement, we tend not to call the police when we're in situations. So then when we're not calling people, we're not calling the police, we're not going through the judicial system because of the mistreatment Black men particularly have had in that system. So we feel more of the loyalty towards the community and towards the person that's abusing us than we do feel like, well, I can handle it. I'll just get out of here or I'll just whatever. But what happens is people don't get out and it continues over time and then they're killed.
Yeah.
So that's why you have 3.5 times more Black women being killed in these intimate partner relationships than you do white women.
Wow. And if I could even speak to that, like I grew up in a home where there was certainly domestic violence. And I remember one of the fears is that, are the police going to care? First of all, are they going to come? If they come, are they going to care? And then are they going to believe you? Because I literally remember one of the threats that the perpetrator in my family made is that I can kill you and throw you out the window well before the police even get here. So does it make sense to call? And then if the police do not take any action and you're left with that person who's now angry with you,
now they're angry.
Yeah. I mean, the consequences are serious.
That is still a part of our experience, that Black women face the reality that the police won't come in time, and that they will come and they will also see you as the perpetrator. That has happened as well. So then you get hauled away because that person, the abuser that day, has a mark on his face, but you don't have a mark on your face. So then you'll get hauled away to jail. So there are just any number of things that cause us to not want to go through the system. We have certainly those relatives that will, oh my God, you put Joel in jail? Joel wears a white shirt and a tie and goes to work every day. Yeah, but he beats me up when he come home.
Yeah,
but that's all right. You should be doing this better. You should do that better or whatever. But you should never call the police on Joel because Joel doesn't have a record. He's not a thug. See, that's a big part of our also mentality in the Black community is that, well, you should work it out because he's a good man.
Yeah.
He's a good man. You should work it out. It's something you're doing.
Yeah.
So we have I didn't understand that because I too am a product of coming from a violent home. And I just thought it was us. I thought nobody else was going through this except our family, and just total shame, embarrassment about it. Never really talked about it till well into being an adult. Never talked about it as a kid. But I think that just understanding that now, which I didn't know then, even back when I became a volunteer, those many years ago, it just makes me, again, it's just something that I know I have to commit to. I am committed to just doing whatever it takes to be out and about in the community and giving out our information and letting them know that we are here and we are going to listen and we're going to help them get through the system. If they make a choice to go through the system, we'll help them.
Well, I truly appreciate that you're doing what you're doing. It is so important, and we need more of you. We need people to help you do what you do. So I want to just kind of wrap this up with, hopefully on a more positive note, in that if you could just tell me and people who are going to listen to this, 3 main tips, like how to help people when they find themselves in a situation. What are 3 of the main things they should do or think about to kind of get out of a domestic violence situation?
Yeah. Well, I think that one thing in terms of, I talked about isolation, and I like to talk about isolation because it starts very early. But if you are noticing that you are in a situation where somebody is like, it seems like, oh, they just so in love and they so jealous, they don't want me around anybody, just want to spend time with me all the time, that's a first sign. Somebody should not be that possessive of you. You are your own person and you are entitled to go and do whatever you want to do. And everybody loves romantic time, but not all the time. So somebody that is extremely obsessive of you, that's like a flag. And they start putting these flags up. So that's something to watch over time, but that usually happens very early, so that initially you don't pay attention to it. It just seems like, oh, they just want me to not go to choir rehearsal so I can be with them. And that seems okay one time, but then after a while, it's like, well, then don't go to church or don't go to your gym practice, or, it starts to be all of these things where you always spending time with them, or they don't want you to spend time with various other people. So those are red flags. If you find yourself, you're really in it, you're in it, the person's already, beating on you or hitting on you. You want to start trying to prepare to get out. You can't always walk right out the door. If you have a way to a trusted friend that you can begin taking some of your things to a little bit at a time, start getting like an escape bag that you can leave with a friend that has all the important documents in it. It's certainly, if you have children, you want to have their important documents. Sometimes you even have to copy the documents because the perpetrator is just that, scrutinizing. They will see that the documents aren't there.
Right.
So you have to copy the documents and take them again to a trusted friend. It's not always the trunk of your car, because they can go in the trunk of your car and see it, and then that wouldn't be a good thing. So if you have to get a locker, if you don't feel you have a trusted friend, well, then get a locker. But start trying to put your things away a little bit at a time. And if you can entrust some family member or friend, then do that. If you really can't do that, we'll do it alone. Try as best you can to reach out to Harambe or someone like Harambe. Our number is 609-225-6936. You can always call us. Some people call us and they don't come when they call. They call us and they tell us what's going on. And they said they want to get out, but they're scared. Because they're scared to go, they're scared to stay.
Yeah.
But I would start trying to prepare when you know you are possibly in, you probably are in
Right.
a abusive relationship. So just start trying to prepare to get away. And it again, it's a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
Don't make ultimatums. I'm going to leave. I'm going to do that, because then you're more at risk when they know that you're planning to leave. So just plan on your own. Keep it to yourself. You don't have to let them know. But when you do finally have the chance to go, you will go. And that will be a safer route for you, rather than making a big announcement and then they're going to have you under surveillance. I know people who have been held at gunpoint because they were moving, and they came in, held them at gunpoint to keep them there. Um, you know, so things happen, but I want people to know that they can get out. Um, you, but you have to plan to get out safely. And, but just having your ducks in a row, having a little money put aside, and for some people that might not be more than $25 a pay, but whatever it is, you start putting that little bit of money aside, you start getting those documents together, and start thinking about a plan of where it is that you can go, so that you can be safe and without this person in your life.
Yeah. So for one, it's just that obsessiveness is not love,
No,
right? Possession,
not love.
obsessiveness, control, that's not love. That's a red flag. And secondly, create an exit strategy. And if you have to plan that as early as possible to create an exit strategy.
Create an exit strategy. Absolutely. That obsessiveness, possessiveness that is not love. That is not love at all. Texting, constant texting of you and where are you, checking your odometer when you get back, feeling the hood to see if it's warm.
Yeah.
That's calling you while you're out, constantly calling when are you coming back?
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are all signs. That's not just, oh, he's so helpless when I'm not there. Not really.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I think the tips that you gave are really critical, especially, and I hadn't even thought about it, copying essential documents, having because sometimes people can't even do the money, but the documents are really important so that you can continue with your life, especially if you have children.
So important, because any kind of services that you're going to apply for, you will need documents. It's for yourself and for the children. Yeah. And so if you don't have that, I mean, people that have left and they didn't have the birth certificates for the children or whatever, and in a custody situation, that gets real critical about, that will be an issue, because even if we're in New Jersey, but if you want to go over to Philly, you have now crossed state lines with the children.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah.
People don't get it.
That people don't. And that's why it's important to reach out to a service like yours who can provide shelter. I know you don't have a shelter, but who can provide resources within the state. Because in New Jersey, you cannot leave the state, plan to move out of the state with someone else's child without their consent or the consent of the court. And I've seen cases where people have done that. And oftentimes domestic violence is at the root of that. It may not surface right away, but that's at the root of it. And people make that move, they plan to make the move, and the courts will actually give the abuser custody.
Yes.
And what higher level
of control? Went to Philadelphia. You're thinking, what are you talking about? Yes.
Right. Even though it's just 15 minutes over the water, that can put control back in their hands through your children. And that's the worst form of control I think someone can have, because you don't want your children to be caught up in the middle of this. So I'm so glad you're sharing this information, because it's so important that people know about this ahead of time,
That they know ahead of time. Absolutely. Because again, like in the last several months, we've had a few cases where they were just kind of almost extreme, but people that got caught up in these various custody issues, moving kids without permission, and having not having documentation for their children and things of that nature. It's just so many things, so many things. And even if you do know ahead, in enough time, go to the school. Your partner knows where you work, where you go to church, and where your children go to school. Those are 3 constant things. So if you can go to your school, most likely you're not going to take your children out of school. You don't want to disrupt them in that way, but go to your school and let them know you have a restraining order. Let them know that you want to take that person's name off of the pickup list, the approved person that can pick them up. But you usually do need the restraining order. Most schools are not going to do it without that. I know everybody's close to their church, their place of worship, but if he goes there and you go there, or if he just knows you go there, he knows where you are Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. That many things have gone down at the church parking lot.
Yeah.
Many things. Work, he knows where you work. So that's, have a guard escort you out, when you leave in the evening. Let your employer know that this is going on. It's embarrassing, but
it can save your life.
You want to be safe.
Absolutely. And when it comes to, I'm glad you brought up the school, and when it comes to children, if you're applying for a temporary restraining order, make sure the children are a part of it.
Yes.
Make sure, because it can take a while to get that temporary restraining order converted to a final. And you need that level of protection in the meantime. So if the children are on that, then you're offered that protection.
Add them to that, because they know, because those are the things they know. It's like, you're not answering the phone, you're not answering the texts. They don't know where you are. Okay. They're going to go to your mama's house or your daddy's house. They know that's where you hang out. Then they can't get you there. They're going to the school.
Absolutely. They'll be there at 3 o'clock.
They will go to that school.
Yeah.
And that is just not something that you want to see play out for your children. They've already probably seen much more than you ever wanted them to see. And then to have now something play out at their school. That just is horrible. So that restraining order is key. And that's another one that people are afraid. They're afraid to get a restraining order. And they're thinking, it's going to be worse.
Yeah.
But it's not going to get better. It's not going to get better.
Right. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, Ms. Williams, thank you so much for your time today. I know we can talk forever about this. I think it's, personal to both of us, and it's so important for us to share this information. But before we let you go, I want to know, how can people support you? How can people reach out to you? So if you can give us your number again, your Facebook information, all that, because when I replay this, I will make sure they have all of that.
And I'm terrible with the whatever they are, but we are on Facebook.
Okay.
I believe it's, here it is. Wait a minute. We are on Facebook at harambe.org, and then on Twitter as Harambe SS. And then Instagram is Harambe Social Services. Okay. Harambe Social Services. And of course, our website is harambesocialservices.org.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And can you give us your number again?
Absolutely. 609-225-6936.
Okay.
6936. Right. Well, it's been my pleasure to talk to you today. I know we've been both stay so busy, but I know it's been I've been hearing from you, but from a distance. So it's good to see you and talk to you.
Thank you, and you too. And I just want to remind people that you and I can't remember what month it was. Was it November? We did a webinar together called the Domestic Violence, the Other Pandemic.
We did.
for this month, we will do a replay, make that available on my website if you want to make that available, you know, on your website, just so people can have a more in-depth look at this too, because we definitely go into some of those issues on that webinar as well.
That would be absolutely wonderful. And what I'll do is I'll have my media person, Lily, reach out to you so she can get whatever she needs to get from you to have that done.
Okay,
she'll know.
great.
She'll know how. I don't know.
I
I don't know that part of it, but she'll know how to get it on our website. That'll be great. That'll be fantastic.
Perfect.
All right.
All right. Well, I want to thank you again, and you enjoy your Mother's Day.
Oh,
And
thank
we
you so much.
appreciate